Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Esther. Thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys 6 lessons I have learned since becoming a mother. So stay tuned. Okay, so motherhood is a journey, and even though as believers we have a manual, which is the Bible, which serves as a reference for us. Motherhood doesn't come with a manual. For the most part, a lot of moms feel like they're just winging it. A lot of moms have the village support. By this I mean like family, friends. We know the saying that it takes a village to raise a child, but I don't know if that saying still stands in this day. In the 21st century, where everybody is on your own. Mind your business. You can actually live in a compound and you don't even speak to your neighbors in the same compound, talk more of on the street, compared to those days where a neighbor could actually correct your child. Children come out to play together in the compound, even on the street. There was just that sense of community, but I doubt it if that actually works now in this day and age. I'm taking myself for example. I hardly speak to my neighbors, only when we see ourselves, just say hi, greet each other, but that sense of community is lacking in this day and age. But with all of this, right, I know that motherhood doesn't require you to be perfect. It just requires you to be present, because these children grow so fast. Look at my little baby girl. I was just telling my husband, was it this morning or yesterday? I was telling my husband that I was just looking at her she's already trying to walk, she's grabbing things and trying to take few steps, and I'm just like, look at this baby. When did we bring you back from the hospital? When were you on this bed lying without you couldn't even move your hands or move your legs? We're so tiny now. Look at you, moving about, scattering the place. They grow up so fast. So just try to be present as much as you can in the lives of your children. So without further ado, enough of all this rambling in the name of introduction. Number one thing I've learned is to let go. So for someone who avoids confrontations, I hate confrontations. I rather look for ways to prevent things and react to things. I just don't like confrontations. I don't like reactions. Let's just look for how to prevent it. When I say I've learned to let go of small things, I mean let go of what people think of me, people's impression of me, what people think about how I parent my children. Less bothered about keeping up appearances, trying to still stay put. It's okay to not always have it all together. For someone who, when I was single, I was this very orderly kind of person, prime, proper, I'm not saying that my life is scattered, right? But most days it's just cut and join, if you know what I mean. So it's fine. It's okay for your plan to go south, right? And again, for someone who likes to plan, I'm someone that I love to plan, I love to strategize. I'm always thinking about the future and all that. I've learned to, relax, take things easy, live in the moment, take things one day at a time, and appreciate the little things. Don't take things for granted. I'm learning to see the world through the eyes of my children, which is what they didn't know how to do. They know how to just play, rest, rest and just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the present. I'm not saying you shouldn't make plans for the future, but learn to enjoy the present. Because these kids, they grow up so fast. Like I was saying, they grow up so fast. My 3-year-old now is already acting also independent. There are some things you can't even do for him. You want to wear his shirt, he tells you, "Mommy, leave it, I can't do it." You want to do this, they're just, I feel like he's just getting out of my grip. But I'm not going to hold him to myself forever, but just enjoy these children now that you can, because very soon they would leave you, they will go to boarding school, go to uni, and so just enjoy the present, basically. So the second thing that I've learned since becoming a mom is self-development. So for me, even before I became a mom, I love to develop myself academically. Just basically develop myself, do courses, read books, watch videos, just do things to just push myself forward, but since becoming a mom, it has gone higher. I've been so intentional about so many things that I would just sweep under the carpet. I've been so intentional about being a right example for my children. When you're single, it's just yourself, you can afford to do some things and just get away with it, like there's nobody really looking up to me, except maybe you had siblings, but even at that, you still just feel like you're just doing things for yourself. But now you have children that are looking at you. I don't want to be that mom who will say, do as I say, not as I do, because your children will always do what they see you do. If you like, tell them from now to tomorrow, don't do this, don't do this. If you're doing it, your children will do it. I mean, my son replicates my husband and I. Like, every single thing we do, he does. Every bad habit, he's picking it. So personally, for me, I have this mannerism that there are some things that I say, and right now I'm trying so much to be so intentional about stopping those things. I didn't know those things were issues until I started having children. So for instance, now my son says things like now. I'm used to adding now to things that I say. For instance, I'll say, give me now. Not in the, not in the bad way, but like I'll say, give me now, stop now, take it now. Do you get? So I realized that my son started picking up that now. He would say, please give me now, give me the shoe now, mommy give me now. And when he's saying it back to me, it sounds, do you get? It sounds very, what's the word? Disrespectful, right? Each time I tell him don't say now, I start feeling guilty. But she's always saying now. In fact, I'll tell him don't say now, and the next moment I'm saying it again. So I'll be saying to myself, what are you trying to do? You're confusing this boy. You're saying it and you're telling him not to say it. Do you get? So it's intentionally, so I've become so intentional about my speech, my language, so many things. These children are like sponges. They're just soaking up everything you see you do. Even the things that you feel they're not seeing, one day you just see them doing it or saying it, and you'll be like, where did this child pick this thing up? But if you look down, you realize that they picked it from you. I had to really sit down and evaluate certain things, like, okay, this needs to go, this needs to go, this needs to go, this needs to go, because of my child, this needs to go. This whole mannerism thing got to a point that I had to go in prayer. I'm like, God, please help me. I don't want to say this thing. I mean, God is interested in every detail of our lives, to the tiniest detail of our lives, right? So I had to put it in prayer, like, God, I want to stop saying now. I want to stop saying this. I want to stop doing this. I want to stop making this facial expression. I want to stop doing this, right? And God has been helping me, and I've also seen the changes in my son. My son no longer says now, right? He no longer does some things, he used to do, right? So yeah, so it's being intentional about these things. It's being intentional about learning about parenting, the style of parenting our parents adopted. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but you can improve. They say the next generation should be an improvement of the former generation. So learn new things about parenting. Our children now are not like we of those days. There is social media, there is internet, there is YouTube, so you have to up your game as well. You can't just sit down and say, oh, this is how my parents did for me, I'm going to use the same style for my child. It's not going to work, my sister. It's not going to work. So I'm also so very, very intentional about, chasing my dreams. Motherhood comes with a lot of limitations. I mean, I have experienced a lot of limitations. I'm not going to lie. It comes with a lot of limitations, but you have to push through, just because you need to be an example for your children. You cannot be telling your children, hey, chase your dreams, you can do this. Meanwhile, you're sitting down in regrets. You're regretting why you didn't take the opportunity. You're regretting why you didn't take the chances. Or because you say, oh, I'm a mother. Oh, this, I had responsibilities. I had this, I had that, right? So is doing these things regardless. Doing these things despite. Chasing your dreams. Grabbing those opportunities regardless and despite whatever situation you're in as a mother, right? So yeah, so I've become so intentional. In fact, before now, There are some things that I'll just be like, oh, okay, I will do it, but I become so guilty now. Like, if I see opportunities passing by, I become so guilty. Now, this is not me telling you to beat yourself up. Please don't beat yourself up. Don't put yourself under any pressure. Do what you can, but please don't just relax. Okay, don't just relax and say, oh, because I'm a mother or because I'm a woman, I can't do these things. I have so many distractions, So please chase those dreams. Be an example to your children. I mean, look at me. My parents gave me a soft landing. I mean, to the best of their ability. If I wanted to achieve something in maths, if I wanted to go to school in maths, if I wanted to go to Harvard, I'm sure my father would have done all he could, to send me there, right? He gave me the very best, to the best of his capability. So why shouldn't I do that for my children? Why shouldn't I do that for my children? The Bible says that a good father gives good gifts to his children. I want to leave inheritance for my children. So we are seeing parents buying cars, buying this one, buying Benz, buying all sorts for their children, buying houses. I am that mother. I want to be able to buy my son a house. I want to be able to buy my daughter a car. I'm not of that school of thought, I went through this, so my children have to go through this. I mean, teach your children all you need to teach them, the principles, the values, everything you need to do. But still, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, right? But still, I am that mother who would buy a house for her son. I am that mother who would call so and so and so and so to connect her child. Yes, I am that mother. Yes. And by the grace of God, I am that mother. So I don't want my child to come one day, my daughter to come and say, oh, mommy, this is the project I have, this is my business plan and all, and the only thing I can tell you is, God bless you, my daughter, the Lord will provide. No, the Lord will provide, of course, but I should be able to write a check. I should be able to say, oh, take this one and add to your capital. I should be able to say, oh, I know this person and I know this person. Yes, I should be able to do that for my children. I should be able to leave a legacy. My father did the same. My father is late, right? But he left a legacy for us. He gave us a soft landing, and I should be able to do that for my children. And I will do that for my children by the grace of God. So the third thing that I've learned since becoming a mom is patience. I know this is cliche, but patience. Your patience level will be stretched. So there's a saying that lack of patience is a recipe for frustration. If you don't have patience, you're going to be frustrated every single day of your motherhood journey. Because come on, these little humans are just learning to navigate this world. They're just learning. They don't know anything. They're just learning to, navigate, go around. And you have experience. In fact, even in my adult stage, I'm still trying to find my way. I'm still trying to find my bearing. I'm still trying to navigate. Sometimes some things are not even still clear to me. Talk more of your little child. So I have learned a lot of patience. I mean, I was patient before, but the patience has gone a notch higher. I've become more patient, more loving, more caring, more accommodating, less judgmental, less critical, because motherhood will humble you. I'm going to say this I'm going to say this like a million times in this video. Motherhood will humble you. Motherhood will humble you. So the next thing that I've learned is never say never. It's a very common phrase, never say never. Guys, never say never. And again, and like I said before, motherhood would humble you. Never say never. So what I'm trying to say is just be open to new methods of doing things. Okay? Don't be bent or stuck on something and say, this is how it is, this is how it will be, this is how my mother did it, this is how they said they do it. That's to be like this. Or this is how my first child did it. This is how it happened with my first child. This is how I did it for my first child. And so this is how I'm going to do it for my second child. You have to be open. If not, you're going to be frustrated. I used to be that single lady who was like, this one, no. My child, no. Sweet, no. Screen time has to be 2 hours. It is written that your child shouldn't have screen time more than 2 hours. Like this. I mean, by all means, be intentional about your parenting. There are some things that you cannot compromise. So no matter what happens, there are some things, standards you should not compromise. But sister, there are other methods of doing things, right? There are other ways of doing things. You don't say, oh, I cannot express breast milk into the bottle because it's not the same thing as sucking from the breast. Who said so, my sister? I mean, the way things were done in those days is so different from the way things. I mean, even when my mom came for Mugo, she's a retired nurse and she was ready to adopt new ways of doing things. Mommy, this is how we are doing it now. This is how we are doing it now. But there should be a balance. So, be open. Things have changed. Methods have changed. Know this and know this. So the next lesson that I've learned since becoming a mom is that I have gotten closure. Closure in the sense that I now tend to understand why our parents, especially our moms did the things that they did. Even though some of them took things to the extreme, and most of these things were because of probably their background, how they grew up. Most of them grew up during the time of the war. Just basically the background, where they grew up. Most of them were not exposed, lack of exposure, and some of our parents did things to the extreme. But I know and I feel that no mother or no parent or no mother will do things to intentionally harm his or her child. So I've gotten closure on why my mom did certain things or why moms did certain things while growing up. Because every mother, every parent wants the very best for their child. And you cannot do more than what you know. That is just it. You can't do more than what you know. Just like how the Bible says you cannot function more than the revelation that you have. A lot of us have stories or will say things like, when I was growing up, I thought I was adopted. I asked my mom if I was adopted, and stuff, the extreme measures that our parents took to instill discipline or to instill values and principles in us. That was all they knew. In fact, most of them, that was how their own parents behaved towards them. They were not exposed. So now these days we have information everywhere. We have internet, we have YouTube, we have Google. Everybody is saying so many things on the internet. We are swimming in information, right? So many places. Everybody's doing webinar here, courses here, parenting this one, that, parenting course here, parenting webinar here, this one, experience. You're actually seeing experiences because a lot of people are sharing their parenting journey on the internet. So you're seeing things firsthand, right? Our parents didn't have all that. They didn't see all that. And so these things informed their decision and their actions then. I'm not giving an excuse or I'm not covering up for them, but I'm just saying that I've actually gotten closure now. I'm like, okay, this is why my mom did this. Okay, this is why my dad did this. Okay, this is why they took this decision. When you become a mom or when you become a parent, you tend to appreciate the things that your parents did. With little or no resources, little or no skill, little or no information, they were able to do certain things. You would just appreciate them, and whatever bad thing they did to you, whatever thing they did to you that you feel was bad, sometimes we are still, living in the effect of the things that they did, right? But as a parent, you don't want your child to grow up and resent you for things that you did. When you did them, you thought you were doing it for the good of your child, and then it had a bad effect on your child, and now your child is an adult and your child is resenting you for those things. No parent wants that, right? So I have come to understand a lot of things, because right now when I look at my children, there is nothing I won't do to make my children okay. The next thing that I've learned since becoming a mom is that motherhood has actually brought out the best in me. Sometimes I feel like I'm a superhuman. You're just so busy doing one thing or the other, and just when you feel like, this is it, after this thing I am just going to shut down and rest, your child comes with one demand or the other, and before you know it, you realize that you stood up from where you were sitting down and you're actually doing something else for your child. So it's what's the word? It stretches you. It makes you realize the power and the abilities that you didn't know you had. You see it coming to play. So, and then this thing now helps you, like in everything. Like if I'm doing something now, and it just makes you become more resilient, makes you become more persistent. You just realize that when you feel like you can't go again, you see yourself going, and you see yourself going, you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. This is not me asking you to be a super woman or super warrior or whatever, create time to rest. You can't do everything, right? Because it's only a fully rested, healthy mother that can actually take care of her children. So please create time to rest, create time to recharge, create time to refuel, but then realize that you have that superpower in you. You don't realize what we really have, the capabilities, how much love we really have in us. I mean, the love that I have for my children. When I had my first child, the love I had for my first child, I couldn't even imagine that when the second child comes, I would love that child equally. But I mean, your heart is capable of expanding, you know. So I mean, this applies to everything. Literally applies to everything. You realize that you're stretchable. You realize that you can stretch, you know, everything. Your heart can stretch, your love can stretch, every single thing can stretch. I mean, that is the superpower that you have as a woman. These things also apply to the men, no, to fathers, because fathers, don't come for me. This is not just about mothers, right? Fathers too. Fathers are present, you know, in the lives of their children. My husband can actually testify to these points that I've raised. So my husband will also testify to these changes in his life as well, because we talk about these things, we evaluate these things, you know. So yeah, tell me in the comment section the lessons that motherhood has taught you. I mean, there's going to be a part 2 of this video because there are so many lessons. So I'm going to be bringing you more lessons as this journey unfolds. I pray that our children will be all that God has called them to be, and you know, like the Bible says, they will answer the enemy at the gate. So thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Don't forget to always let your light shine wherever you find yourself, and let's leave the world better than we found it, one person at a time. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. See you in my next video. Bye.